Hi. Okay, I wonder if I'm live on YouTube. Huh. Let's see. How bunny? Oh, I am live. Hi. I wonder how I see the chat. Hi, MDL Crochet. Sorry, I'm trying this thing out. It said I went live, and then I'm like, did I really go live? I wasn't sure. That's really funny. How are you doing tonight? This is still so weird to get used to, just these one-sided video conversation. So I've been working, I know the monochromatic previous mal, which was just the black, white, and gray that was being hosted by Mama G Gear, just finished on February 29th. Oh, I'm glad you're doing well. I wasn't able to finish this in time for that, but I did progress further. Just a blanket, it was a Tunisian Crochet stitch along sampler with different squares, hosted by Heart Hook Home last year. And instead of making individual different squares, I decided to make them in strips and then join the strips together. I'm using ice yarns. Now I added this new colorway. Sorry. This new colorway. Which is indigo. It's their magic worsted. It's kind of thicker. It's like an Aran. So last time I was working on the second strip. So each strip is made of 6 squares. And that's I'm doing like a join as you go for the strips. So I was down here. I believe I was doing. Sorry, I'm like all reverse. Here we go. I was, I think, on the Tunisian cross stitch. Here we go. Last time I did the next square as full stitch, and this was with the ombre gray yarn. And then I did another square of this cross stitched. There we go. And I decided another square of the full stitch. And then I finished it off with the simple stitch. And then close that off. I'll probably add a border to it later. And then decided to start on the third strip and join this new color, which is also an ombre, same type of yarn, but it includes a blue in there. So in this one, I did the, I don't know if you can see the detail. It's Tunisian reverse stitch with Tunisian knit stitch. It's kind of hard to see when the color changes like this, but it's diagonals. So it goes diagonal that way, and then it goes diagonal this way. And then I add a row of Tunisian double crochet in the middle. And now I decided that my next square would be purl stitches, Tunisian purl stitch. So yeah, wonder if I could see how many people are, thank you, are watching. Oh, it says 0 watching here, but I know you're watching, so I don't know. It's weird. The counting is weird. I wonder if it like gives me how long. Oh, there. Okay. It has like a little time up there. Sorry, it's like new software, and I wasn't able to get it working in the other browser, and I finally got it working tonight, and I'm like, let's give it a try. Ooh, hello, Barb, welcome. Yeah, I agree. The Tunisian full stitch is wonderful. It's so pretty. It creates this like I know. Do you know it's also called goblin stitch? I find that hilarious. It makes this beautifully wonderful squishy fabric. Honestly, I think like a whole blanket done in Tunisian full stitch would be so nice. So I have like my own little pattern where I make headbands out of the Tunisian full stitch, and I think they're so cute. Um, I can show it if anybody wants to see it, but I have to get up and go grab that. And and Barb, in case you don't know what I'm talking about, this is the Tunisian full stitch here. That's the right side. It alternates, and you put your hook in between the stitches, and this is the reverse side, which creates bumpies. Oh yeah, it's stretchy too. It's a little wider than the regular stitches. Um, Yeah, I'm not really a huge fan of the pearls, but I was like, I have the knit stitch in here and the simple stitch and the full stitch. I might as well throw it in, and it'll just give me practice anyways. I think one of the squares is going to be honeycomb. Oh, that's so cool that your husband I've also made like infinity scarves, but I haven't figured out like a really nice join with it with the full stitch. Um, and I do it with like the Lion Brand woolies, thick and quick, so it's nice and like thick and wonderful. And then I finally decided that if I add a single crochet border around both sides, it actually evens out this kind of little bit of inconsistency there. I somehow can't get it to show straight, but um anyways, you know what I mean. That's so cool. You can like pick the comments and have them show. Yeah, you know what happens like with the honeycomb and the full stitch for me? I forget. Like, did I, where do I have to put my stitch in? Like, I keep forgetting by the time I'm at the next row what I did in the previous row. So it's kind of annoying there with that. So thanks everyone for joining. I know it's a bit late. I'm on the East Coast, so for me it's 1:35, but I've been dealing with insomnia, so it's what it is. I fell asleep earlier today. I didn't want to nap again. Um, there. So I think that's. Sorry, you guys kind of just see the back end of the work. There we go. I just have to remember to put the yarn to the front. Oh yeah, I love but you know what? I have less of a hard time with the wave stitch, which is really funny. I actually made leg warmers out of the wave stitch, and I made a different sampler blanket. It was one, I think it was 2022 or 2021 that TL Yarn Crafts hosted, and I did that big blanket. Oh my gosh, it came out lovely. I decided for the square that was like Tunisian simple stitch, and then you embroider on it like some design. I should showcase that one on my channel. I need to remember to do that. I actually cross stitched a little paw with a heart into that square, that blanket, and I just love it. I love it. Yeah. I feel like the pearl stitch is like my least favorite of the Tunisian stitches. I finally got a bit better at it, but I still feel it's like I'm so slow when I'm making it. Yeah, I have it over there on the futon too, but it's all nice and folded, and I'm like, if I get it, I have to unfold it. Hold on. Let me, I'll be right back so I can show you the square. Well, this is the headband. Hi, buddy. He's like all excited. That's the headband in Tunisian full stitch that I made. What? Sorry. Why am I having issues with it? You know, my camera is set up differently for the laptop. There we go. I keep going left when I mean to go right. So it's, yeah, it's like nice and squishy. Stop licking my toes. My dog has decided to lick my toes. Oh, that is so cool that you've been doing Tunisian that long. I actually taught myself how to do Tunisian during the pandemic. Okay, let me back up, baby. Let me go get that blanket. I mean, it helps that I was right here in the living room, so. Look at that. Isn't that adorable? And yeah, it had all different, like, beautiful stitches. This one was the full stitch in 3 colors. I thought that was so cool. And then my pretty border I made. It's like the Tunisian simple stitch with the alternating. I love this blanket. It just came out so pretty. Stop, baby. Stop. No, you can't come to this blanket. You're going to get dog hair all over it. The snowflakes with the bubbles. You can't smell all the things. Here's the wave stitch we were talking about. There we go. Sorry, I'm covering my face. And the brick stitch. Here we go. I guess I'll just show all the squares, huh? That's the honeycomb, I think. The honeycomb? No, I'm sorry. That's a diagonal Tunisian crochet stitch. I did this a while ago. I think that's the same stitch because I really liked it. A cool lacy stitch. I blocked all of these too before joining them. It really makes a big difference. This one's really nice, the Joy. I decided I like that better than the word home, which a lot of people were doing for the pattern. Oh, I love this square, the mitered one. There. Sorry, I keep moving it the wrong direction. There we go. I think I showed you all of them. I can't remember that one. Some sort of lattice. This one was really cool too. I really like this one. There we go. Yeah, I really love how this blanket come out. I never use it though. I just keep it folded in the living room in case I'm ever going to use it one day. Thank you. I have a really pretty other Tunisian blanket that I did with fall colors, and it's like these strips that were joined. It was like a crochet crowd stitch along. That one came out really pretty too. I've been meaning to make a matching like pillow covers for it, but I haven't. But I really love how this one came out. And now I got dog hair on it. And my back is pretty too. just had to. I haven't figured out yet how to do the cross stitching without showing the back. I need to look at, I think Creative Grandma has some videos on that. But for the most part, a good amount of my backs are pretty neat. So yeah, my joy wasn't super pretty there for the back, but yeah. Oh, I forgot to show the pinwheel. Ha 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 ha. That was interesting and fun. Oh, thank you. Yeah, like my pinwheel black is like, it's hard to tell the back from the front, to be honest. You know, that was my back and that's my front. So, yeah. Thank you. Okay, now to fold this thing. I guess he gave up on bugging me. He was like, okay, Mom, I'll let you do your thing. You're like talking to yourself again, so I'm going to lick your toes. It was really funny. He's probably like, Mom, I want to go for a walk. We usually go for a walk around this time, his like bedtime walk. We'll go in a little later. I walked him earlier around 9:30, so I know he's fine. He's not. I guess you can put that like that and it'll be in the camera view a little bit. And I'll put it away later. Oh wow, that's really cool. So do you make blocks out of all the stitches? Oh, I should ask you. Do you know what this stitch might be? I got the pattern from a Mary as yarn falls down. I got the pattern off of Mary Maxim to do this Afghan, and it's a Tunisian Afghan. And I thought it would be entrelac, and it was Tunisian simple stitch. And then once I read the pattern and I started doing it, I was like, oh no, this is a different stitch. I don't know this stitch. This is what it looks like on the right side. And that's what it looks like in the reverse side. It's pretty much you do a yarn over and then you insert the hook like you're doing a full stitch and like you're doing a Tunisian simple stitch. I tried to put it in the Tunisian group, but nobody knew. And they like kept saying that it was like a knit stitch, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I'm continuously telling you that you're not putting your hook in the space to make a knit stitch. Oh, that'd be really cool to see. See all those swatches on your wall. No, it's a Facebook group. It's a Tunisian Facebook group. They have a regular Facebook group and a advanced Tunisian Facebook group. I didn't put it in the advanced one because I thought the regular like the advanced one, people kind of get like a little irritated if you put basic questions. Let me see what the group name is. It's the advanced one is called Advanced Tunisian Crochet on Facebook. And the other one is called, I think, Hooked on Tunisian Crochet. That's the more basic one, but sometimes there's a lot of beginner questions there, so the feed gets sort of flooded. Yeah, it totally is. It's totally a mix of extended and full Tunisian simple stitch, and then it has a yarn over. Now I lost my hook again. Okay, here, found it. Yeah, I'm not sure what the URLs are for them or how to put this in the live stream. This is really neat software. I like this when you do the StreamYard because I tried to do a live um, with my cell phone through just using the YouTube um, app on the phone, and I couldn't read the comments. I had to have the laptop going to be able to read the comments, and it wasn't like I had this all here in one spot, which was really nice. I don't know if this is showing my live stream to everyone or if it's just showing it to subscribers. I haven't checked that. So for the Reddit one, do people just like type in comments? And yeah, I agree with you. There's certain individuals there that use the group to showcase their work that are designers. And I don't see it as much as the regular crochet groups, but somehow for the Tunisian one, some people seem to, yeah, definitely, we'll call it have strong egos. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know either, since I think if I tried to check, it would, oh, that's so cool. I see myself. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't know how to do that setting. That's so cool. I see myself. Sorry. Let's turn that off. I don't want it to echo. Are you? Well, I guess it's Barb also here. I don't know if it's anybody else that's here, but what is everybody working on currently? I mean, assuming um, the other person crochets. They may not crochet, or maybe they knit. I wonder if this. Okay. I don't know what these stars do here. Huh, okay. Well, I started one of the comments. I don't know what it did. MDL Crochet says they are working on an 80 by 80 Tunisian Afghan for Bag O' Days Animal Rescue Auction. Oh, and a pattern you came up with. That is wonderful. I'm so excited to see that. Yeah, that one that I just showed you, that yellow strips. I started it in hopes to send it also for Bag O' Days animal charity auction. I don't know if I'll be able to finish in time. I was looking, there's some parts that I don't like of the pattern. It was calling for like a 5mm Tunisian crochet hook to use with that Karen Simply Soft yarn. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So I decided to up it, and I'm using a 7mm hook, which I think is nice. I think the stitches look nice. They're not too tight. It's not curling too bad. And then it has the weirdest join that I've honestly never seen in my life. Um, it's a cord. It tells you cut a piece of the yarn and weave it through to join the strips. And I was like, I am not doing that. If I'm putting all this effort into making a blanket, you better believe that I'm going to seam it, I'm going to sew it, I'm going to stitch that thing. So the blanket literally would have to tear and the stitching would have to tear for it to come apart. Not that you can just pull on a yarn thread and it's going to unravel and your whole strips come undone. I thought that was ridiculous. I don't know if they wanted like it to have a ribbon look. I mean, if that's the case, just add the ribbon later where your seam is. So I may decide to just join those seams, like do a join as you go. So after I finish one strip, I'll do the other strip. It's supposed to be that golden color with burgundy, like a Merlot. But yeah, I don't know. And then it has like this border for the strips for each diamond. So I'll see if I can figure out the border or not. Yeah, I agree with you. That was way too tight for that. I was like, I'm not even trying that. Yeah, I agree. I didn't even think about the washer, but yes, I agree. It's not a good idea. I was like, pattern fail. I mean, nice concept, but no, I disagree. But that's not the first time that I've seen Tunisian crochet patterns use a really small, and now I'm doing my join for the to the other strip. um I've seen some other like patterns for Tunisian crochet also use really small hook sizes, like the one for the strips that I was talking about that I did that blanket for, and it was a crochet along. I mean, even they mentioned for the stitch along to change the hook size, and I think I changed it to like a 7 millimeter. I think that's what I used for this too. Um, and that one also called for like a 5 millimeter or 4.5 millimeter, and then it like used a ton of yarn in the pattern and all this, and I was just like, no, I'm not doing that. But yeah, that's not the first pattern that I've seen that, sometimes they just call for really small hook sizes in the Tunisian pattern. They just like, or they'll use the recommended hook size it says on the ball band within the pattern. Like, oh, you're using that type of yarn? You're using a category weight 4 yarn? Yeah, just use a 5 millimeter hook. And I was like, nah. I like mine to be a little looser. Like this is an 8 millimeter hook I'm doing right now. I mean, this is like a thicker category weight 4 yarn. It's more like an Aran. Um, but I think it's nice. Like, like I don't even have, it's pretty solid. You can't even really see me. You can see me down here in the double crochet ones a little bit, but yeah, it does. It totally does stress me out. So MDL Crochet said, right, why crochet to relax, but yet they want you to use a smaller hook than you should, and it stresses you out. Yeah, and then it creates the stitches so tight, so then you're fighting with what you're trying to make because you can't get back into the stitches well because they're so tight and small, and then your yarn is splitting, and then your work is curling super bad, so it starts continuously curling on top of you, and yeah, it's just not a fun time. I mean, just thinking about it stresses me out. I need to do these during the day, and then maybe I can have my family join, and they can watch me. That'd be cool. My family lives out of the state and out of the country, so I haven't gotten to see them in a while. Aw. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that it's becoming more popular too. Like, not a lot of people, I mean, more are doing Tunisian, but it's still one of those like, not a lot of people do it, or they're doing it and they're just starting. Um, so I'm really happy that it's gaining more popularity, um, and a few more books and stuff. I mean, I inherited. My grandma had an Afghan hook, and I inherited it after she passed. So, my grandma's friend and my grandma were the ones who taught me regular crochet. So now, like, I don't know if my grandma ever knew that that was like Tunisian stitches, or she had gotten it and she was trying to figure out how to use it. Um, and I know I had that hook for a really long time, and I was like, I really want to learn how to use this. And I had gotten like a stitch sampler book and had sort of tried, but hadn't figured it out until finally, there were some videos around the pandemic with like a lot of time where you couldn't leave out of the house. Um, and I decided to teach myself and just practice, right? So MDO Crochet says it's like when I learned 10 years ago, there wasn't many videos out there. Yeah, there wasn't. And today the ones out there just don't give me a vibe. So I decided to do my own and going for the vibe I was looking for back then. Are your videos on YouTube? I've been adding so many different channels lately, I can't even keep track of who I'm subscribed to and who I'm not subscribed to. Let me see. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you. This is their channel. I'm excited. I'm going to join. Yeah, I love that Tunisian half double stitch. It takes a while, but I made an infinity scarf out of it, and it's just so pretty. I love it too. It makes like this beautiful, wonderful, like squishy fabric, and I love how it works up. And then it turned out I used Red Heart Super Saver. It was an Ogo, and I hadn't used the Ogos before, and it was the forest colorway. Actually, I'm going to show it to you. Hold on. I'll be right back. I have everything, most of the things folded in the living room that are mixed, but that one I still use. This is the Tunisian half double crochet. I saw the tutorial on Mikey from the Crochet Crowd had like a really old video. And this has been worn and loved. But yeah, it turned out, I don't know if the color strapping is the same now in this colorway for Red Heart Super Saver, now that it's in the skein as opposed to the Ogo. It should be. But it turned out it just perfectly transitioned colors, almost perfectly, right? There's a little jog there. But it's very slight when it does jog a little bit. But it just came out to like a really good width with these stitches and the way the scarf is. It just took me a while to make it. That's how I did my join. It was okay. And it really softened up so nicely after I washed it. I just love it. I made a different beanie to go with it, but it's too small. So that's my conundrum. I need to make a different beanie with a different pattern. Because when I wear it, it like won't cover my ears, so then I don't wear it. Yeah, I mean, my first tutorial here that I did like a few weeks ago on this channel was not good. Like I did it with the laptop and I didn't have the tripod, and I'm still trying to figure out like camera settings and tutorial thing. And the one that I just released with the last weekend with doing fingerless gloves on the circular knitting machine. That one, I noticed part of it when I started crocheting and then put it up close to the camera, I went off view for a few times, which really annoyed me. But I had already done more than 30 or 40 minutes of filming because it was on my phone. The size of the file was too large for me to be able to, put it into editing software and edit it. And I was like, you know what? There's certain parts where they can still see what I'm doing. I'll just make a part 2 where I just show that crochet part, and I just decided to release it anyways, because then the whole other option was to just delete and re-record everything. Yeah, I agree with you. They were saying that's the hard part about Tunisian, getting colors to line up and variegated. Yeah, I released that video last Sunday. It's the first time I did a video tutorial where I'm actually like was able to use the tripod, and I got it like a new webcam, and I set it up with the webcam so you actually see the circular knitting machine for a little bit. But I more talk about like how to cast on and cast off, and I created a tube, and then you grab the tube and then you seam it and you leave like space for your thumb hole. And so I think a lot more of the time of the tutorial is just like those aspects of it, like, oh, okay, well, now that you made this tube, what do you do? Or how do you make the tube? How do you get it on and off the machine? How do you close the tube? How do you seam the tube? Hi, Don! I wasn't sure if you were still, I think you were doing a live earlier, maybe, and there was like a bunch of people, but I was so tired from the lives earlier today that I ended up falling asleep, so then I missed Dee's Creative Hands live. So I fell asleep. My timeline was like 6 o'clock to, what was it, 9 or something like that, and then woke up late. So then I just recently had dinner like almost at midnight, and I'm just like, oh man, my schedule's totally off. My insomnia is still, and I have to eat dinner late to take my pain pills. So yes, thanks so much for joining. I was mentioning I don't know how I can, let's see if I can manage to share MDL Crochet's channel on this live stream while I'm doing this. So yeah, it seems like they were mentioning that they have tutorials, Tunisian crochet tutorials on there. So if folks would like, I'm going to put it, please check out MDL Crochet's channel, and throw some yarn over there, which is what we say when, if folks want to subscribe to their channel, that they threw yarn at your window. I just learned that recently. Oh, I'm sorry that you deal with that. Yeah, I deal with chronic pain and fatigue. And it depends what doctor you ask, whether I have an autoimmune disease or not, or two. It seems like depending which doctor I go visit, which month or which year, they decide to change the diagnosis. So, yeah. The new one is that it's fibromyalgia, but I don't think that's what's causing my back pain. That's the only thing causing my back pain. So I'm pretty sure it's the disc herniations and degenerative disc disease. Is the spinal cord pain stimulator, is that the thing where you have these little they're like these patches and you put on your skin and they send little volts of current to your back or to wherever you have those, I forgot what they're called. Those things you attach to your skin. Oh, I'm sorry, Don. I hope you feel better. Yeah, I know you mentioned last I think it was last weekend. No, it was Wednesday that you were feeling a bit under the weather too. Yeah, when we have these other situations going on, simple things like a cold or allergies, or it always seems like it's something extra, they just take longer to feel better, and then it just, I don't know, at least for me, it's like I already wake up sometimes with like a whole achy body, and then yeah, it just takes longer. Oh, okay. So what MDL Crochet mentioned, that the spinal cord pain stimulator is that it's implanted into their spine and sends the current to the nerve cluster that goes down to that leg that's affected. Good old veterans healthcare at its best. Well, thank you for your service. Have some friends that are close friends that are veterans that deal with a lot of chronic pain and a lot of back issues. Hi, Nifty Molyneux. I hope I didn't mispronounce your name. Oh yeah, me too, Don. I thought it was. I am also tired all the time. That's what Darn Yarn Doll said. I know I've been watching other live streams, and I realized because I was watching. It'd be really cool if Russ from It's Raining Yarn joins us. I've been joining some of his live streams because sometimes he's up late at night, so that's cool. So I'm able to stop by and join. And he had mentioned to let him know when I go live, but I just decided to just pop on here and test the software, so I didn't announce it. And I didn't do any like extra notifications. And oh, I forgot what I was talking about that. Sorry, squirrel left my brain. Yeah, I totally forgot. Oh yeah, so now I remembered. So when he does his live, he'll read, what the people type in. Like Don saying, like crochet. And I find it's helpful, when he like reads out what the people are typing or what where he is within the chat, because yeah, if I'm doing something else and I'm not particularly reading my screen, because I find live streams to be stressful. I don't know, they stress me out, and they not so much me doing it, but more like when I try to participate, especially if it's somebody like Juan the Yarn Addicts one, where it's like 800 to like 1,000 people, or Bago Days. It's like the chat goes so fast. You're trying to pay attention to what they're saying. You're trying to read the chat. It's just like exhausting. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I feel like I just like worked for 5 hours. Just the whole mental exercise of all of that. So and then now that they've been more and more, and I've made more and more friends on YouTube, which is wonderful, it's like I'm wanting to attend more and more lives. And then it's like, okay, I'm already burnt out from, because I work IT, from my IT job and being on a computer for so many hours a day. I was like, I can't be stressed out with my phone and doing that, also, and just feeling so drained. And MDL Crochet says, so true at Don the Yarn Doll. Watching y'all's live streams and crocheting and husband always makes my day. That's nice. Yeah, maybe he will join. I don't know if Russ is working right now, because I know he works nights. Yeah, I can't read the chats at that speed either, and it's really hard to keep up. So I really like this aspect where I think somebody had mentioned that StreamYard just kind of slows down the chat so you can go through them at your own pace while you're reading it. And the other live that I tried out last weekend, which was also late at night, I used the YouTube software, and it was on my phone, and it was horrible. I couldn't read the comments, so I had to open it up on the laptop. So then if I'm trying to read the laptop and read the comments, I'm not looking at you because the camera's over here. You know, like it was a whole different angle. And then, I mean, thank goodness it was only 2 or 3 people, right? So, and Michi was there because I like eventually need to get moderators if I'm going to do more live streams. So I had trolls join. You know, somebody's asking me if I ever ate a burrito. I'm like, okay, yeah, no. It's not appropriate on. I mean, there's not anything really wrong with that, but I don't know where you're going with that. So, and we were not talking about food. Yeah, I agree. Darn the Yarn Doll has mentioned that going live has its own hangovers. Yeah, well, I mean, this is kind of like when I have a little more energy at night, and because I just ate and I took my pain pill. Like currently, I'm on diclofenac sodium now, which is the Voltaren, which has been helping, and because I just had that, so right now my pain is like at a lower point, even though usually nighttime and early morning is like my pain high points. So I know that the pain meds are kicking in. So it's like, okay. I was like, and I'm like wide awake. So it's like, my initial plan was to only do 20 minutes, but now apparently I've been on here for almost 40 now. So. And MDL Crochet is saying, listening to y'all's experience with lives and all that are helping me to learn lives when I decide to start. Yeah, I think the important part is like to pace yourself. I know a lot of people, you know, have scheduled and they have it like during the weekend. And so the weekend schedule is packed. And personally, you know, I'm working Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And a lot of times with this exhaustion and this fatigue, I fall asleep right after I'm done with work, which granted, it was better than a few months ago when I would fall asleep during times that I wasn't supposed to fall asleep. We'll just leave it at that. I'm not, you know, we'll leave it at that. I don't want to say anything that's possibly get me in trouble later. But yeah, they had me on thyroid medication. I was over medicated. The doctor wasn't reading the labs well. I finally figured it out. Had to go to a different primary care doctor. And anyways, I'm not going to go into all that because I don't want to get into all my medical stuff on here. But yeah, I just had to switch primaries. They decided they're not taking health insurance anymore. So it was quite frustrating. So I'm between transitioning off of all that, off of the thyroid meds. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know, Don, I can't usually make your Monday 10 a.m. one because I'm working. But then the other ones that are during the week that are like weekdays, I miss them because I fell asleep. Because sometimes I'll finish working like at 6 and I'll pass out, and which also really sucks for my social life. And then I'm like, and I don't have enough energy to go to the supermarket. So then I'm like asleep from like 7 to 10. So that usually the only one I can make it if he's on and if I have the energy is Russ's. Or a little like tail end of yours if it's like, okay, I walked the dog. How am I feeling? Am I going to fall asleep right now? Okay, no. Okay. So MDL Crochet is saying, I don't sleep much since I found out about lives, and I have been hitting as many as I can. Husband calls it my K job. Lots of laughs. I mean, I feel like you just try to make the ones you can, and if you're there, cool. If you're not, then that's fine. Or sometimes people catch your replays, but I don't know. Some people are just not that fun to watch live. They're just kind of boring. Oh, so Don, you joined us late. So I was showing some of my Tunisian crochet makes because I went down that rabbit hole. This was infinite. Infinity scar. You would think I would know my own name. An infinity scarf. This is like the Crochet Crowd's inspiration pattern, and I was saying it's like it was an Ogo, a forest colorway. That actually I did not color control, but when it did jog the colors, it wasn't so bad, and it just makes a nice like squishy fabric. And this was a whole sampler one. So later on, if you're interested, you can always, just watch a replay and just watch that little part where I'm like showing the squares, but they're actually really pretty. So it was TL Yarn Crafts hosted it a few years ago. I don't know if it was 2021 or 2022. And I made it. It took me like, I finished it the year after. And it's also Tunisian Crochet. And one of my squares has a really cute heart with a puppy paw that I cross-stitched in there. So I went ahead and showed all those squares. And then Dawn is saying that they've had to slow down on their YouTubes. They can't keep up like they used to. They used to call it live hopping, going from one to another. Thank you. So yeah, I'm currently working on a Tunisian crochet blanket. Heart Hook Home was hosting this Tunisian crochet along last year, and you're supposed to make like the stitches into squares and then join the squares. But I strongly dislike, I'm not going to use the word hate, weaving in ends. I decided, well, I'm going to modify this and I'm going to make my squares. I'm going to make 6 squares into a strip, and then I'm going to make a second strip and add them as a join as you go. And apparently she was saying that you do like 2 strips maybe twice, so then you have like 24 squares. Each square is around 12 inches. Mine are kind of like 14 inches, but who cares, right? I'm using the ice yarns. They're magic worsted weight yarn, which is a little thicker. It's like an Aran weight. I was using this part here is kind of like the gray, white, black ombre. And then this was my spotted color work because I didn't think I'd had enough, that it's like the kind of a gray with blue ombre yarn. And I was doing it for the monochromatic mal sorry, I got backwards over here. That Mama G Gear was hosting. I mean, now they're hosting another one, but this was like the black and white one. And I was like, oh, this will be a perfect time to pull out my crochet along that I never finished, and I'll work on that. And that make along ended at the end of February. Sorry, it was like 2 days ago, right? And I forgot. And yeah, so I obviously didn't finish the blanket by 2 days ago. I didn't think I would. I mean, I was really being hopeful there, thinking that I might, but I keep falling asleep, and I'm really tired, so I was just doing what I could. And so I decided to join my third color. That happened a few days ago. And I finished, the second part of the strip. I have my other, like, watch me do Tunisian crochet live where I'm working on this and I explain some of it. Oh, you should totally try it. Tunisian's fun. Ooh, that's really nice. Some Jack and Sally shoes. Cool. What's the Jack and Sally NBC stuff? Sorry, I'm kind of going backwards. Thank you, Don. It's so fun. And MDL Crochet said that they do that too, Don. I don't want to watch anything because doing Tunisian, I need to pay attention unless it's the simple stitch. Plus, the harder the stitch, the more my mind is busy and the less I think about my pain. Yeah, I agree. It helps me with the pain part. Plus, I love like this part where you do the return pass. It's like a regular return pass, and you like, because I'm doing join as you go, you yarn over and then you return 2 stitches and 2 stitches at once. So that's like the part where I feel like I can breeze through and not really have to look and pay attention so much. So Dawn, yeah, if you look I talk about each square and what each stitch is. Like this one, I just was working on it the last 2 days. And it's like a diagonal stitch between, these are the Tunisian knit stitches and these bumpy ones are the Tunisian reverse stitch. And right now I'm doing a square of Tunisian purl stitch. The stitch that MDL is talking about, I have it here, I can show it. Haha. Hold on. Is this one, the Tunisian simple stitch, which makes a beautiful like woven look, especially like if the color changes in there. Oh yeah, I do. I know. I love Nightmare Before Christmas too. I remember Michi saying that you love Nightmare Before Christmas too. I think I do have a pair of shoes too, but I haven't worn them, and then I put them away in my closet, and I'm like, do I have them? Do I not have them? Did I dream of it? So I'm gonna have to go through there and look for them. Yeah. The knit stitch is also, the Tunisian knit stitch is also kind of mindless there. But yeah, I really love that full stitch, but by the time I get to that end of the row and then start like a new row, I'm like, okay, do I have to go in the first stitch or do I have to go in the second stitch? What did I just do? I really need to find a better system of keeping track of that. Because then I stare at it and I'm like, okay, was that 2 stitches in the beginning row or 2 stitches in the end row? And what I'm talking about, Dawn, that's this stitch, also known as this stitch, also known as the goblin stitch. It might help if I could actually like hold things up in a non-convoluted way. And then when I think I'm going right, it's going left in the camera. Brains. So it does like these cool holes because you're placing your hook in between the stitches when you make it, but it's offset. So one row is, like you start in the second gap, and the next one you start in the third gap between the two second and third stitch. And then when you get to the end of the row, you have to accommodate that, whether, you do a stitch in your end space or you don't, because if not, then you end up adding stitches in there when you don't mean to. So, yeah. Yeah, I like the name Goblin Stitch too. I think it's cool. Plus, it's a really, oh, no, I'm like unraveling. That's my doggy drinking water. Sorry. Yeah, I really love it, called the Goblin Stitch. Plus, if you ever do decide to do Tunisian and you do the full stitch, it makes this like really wonderful squishy fabric. I just like love the texture of it. Oh, and that's the reverse. It's like all nice and bumpy. And it, depending your hook size and your yarn, it can, it can either, you can make it with more gaps or less gaps, but it's pretty tightly close knit. I mean, I think it would make a great baby blanket. It would just be so nice and cushy. Yeah, he's a thirsty pupper. He was bugging me earlier when I started the live because he wanted to go for his walk, but I walked him at 9 o'clock, so I think he's still okay. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Don, are you working on it? Oh, so right now, yeah, I'm doing this is how the purl stitch looks. I can't remember if I showed you. And then here, this one in between, I do a row of Tunisian double crochet as a divider. And then that diagonal stitch would have looked better if it was like a solid color. I think it would make a really cool blanket. Yeah, I had jumped on briefly. I think it was your live. I know it was like West Coast something, but it was like 4 people, I think, were live streaming on there, and everybody was like making something. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I can't watch it right now. I was like, I'm so tired. And I just woke up Um, I was like, it's just too much stimulation for me. So instead, I was like, I'm just gonna try to catch up with Bag O' Days videos that she released today. Because when I was watching them earlier today, because I had to jump off of Mama G Gears live, I was already on there for like 2 hours, and I'm like, that's it. I need to not have any computer time. I need to just get off the screen. I need to just. I'm getting really tired, really drained. Um, so I got off, and then I decided to play Bag O' Days videos, and I put the phone right next to me. Next thing you know, I was out. I fell asleep. Usually I don't fall asleep. I mean, sometimes I do fall asleep to her videos. But usually like she's pretty like hyper and happy during them, and many of them, so it's harder to fall asleep during them. Um but yeah, I was just so tired. I was just out. Oh, the crafting ladies. Yeah, yeah, I think that's totally what it was called. Hi, Milan. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by. I wasn't sure if anybody would be able to join me so late at night. I finally managed to get live stream to work on my work laptop, which I should not be using my work laptop for this, but we won't tell work. Now, will we? And I haven't told anybody at work that I've been doing these videos because they're not very nice to me sometimes, most of the time. Anyways, they give me a hard time about like being in pain and stuff if I mention that I do other things. Um, so yeah, I should be using my personal laptop, but funny story, I tried to use it the other day and I hadn't used it in a while, and it's also for gaming. Then I forgot my, because I also have memory issues, I forgot my login and I forgot whether I used the PIN or password, tried all of it, and I locked myself out. And I think it's like Windows 10 or 11, so I haven't had the energy or desire to try to fix it and log myself back in. So that should honestly be really the machine that I'm using, but I'm not. Um, Thank you, Dawn. She mentioned that she's glad that I got rest. And oh, okay. And the crafty ladies today was Margie's crafty corner. Thanks. Yeah. Um, Dawn had mentioned that. What was I doing? I was doing pearl stitch. Okay. It's just the pearl stitch. Like you have to do it differently. You have to like put the yarn in the front, and then you loop over. I don't know. I don't think I can show this very well on here with this camera angle. Um, so it's not as like mindless and wonderful as a Tunisian simple stitch. And I don't like doing the pearl stitch a lot, so I kind of have to pay attention whether I'm going in the right direction or not, or skipped a stitch. I think I skipped a stitch there. Yep, I did. Anyways, back to that. So I was testing out the I decided, I've heard so many good things about StreamYard. Let me try it out. Let me see if I can get maybe StreamYard to work. So the last live I did last week was with my phone and the YouTube software, and I did not like that. It was kind of like cumbersome. I couldn't see the comments. I had to keep like, turning my head to see what the comments were, and I don't know if this one is like just showing my live to subscribers or if it's showing it to everyone. I had heard, I think that you can set that in StreamYard, but I didn't see where that setting was. So, I mean, I think I have it set it to public. So I kind of had trolls on the last one. Michi was able to join, but and she had mentioned she could be my moderator, but I haven't set up for anybody to be moderator yet. And by that point, it was like 3 something in the morning. So I was like, you know what? Let's just do this later. I had just meant to be on there kind of quick. Like today, I just meant to be on here like for 20 minutes, and now it's like an hour later. But yeah. So that was the point of that. So as I was messing with that, I was like, do I have enough energy to maybe do a live? I was like, I'm going to crochet anyways, and it'd be cool to like test this out and see. And I feel like it would be less stressful to test it out now when I wouldn't get as much traffic as if I did it during the day and more people would be online. you know, and then if it was like a lot of chats going on, it would just be like too much. So I was like, okay. I was like, I feel like a weekend night when some people are out partying would be a great time to, to try this out. Yeah, I agree. MDL Crochet says we get to talking about crochet and we could go forever. Some of my friends are pretty tired of hearing me, so it's kind of why I decided to, you know, I had some of them suggest to me, like, hey, you should do a YouTube channel. I think it's because they wanted me to go socialize and talk to other people about that. And even my local friends that do crochet and do craft don't seem to be as into it as I am, or don't want to like talk about it, or aren't at the same, I don't know, just don't work on it as much. Or if they do, they just, none of them do Tunisian. So, yeah. Nifty is saying, this is my first time attending your live, so not a subscriber yet, but as you can see, I can participate. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Well, you're not missing much because this is like the second live stream I've ever done. And there's like a third video that I did when I tried to live stream for the first time. And because I don't have those many subscribers, YouTube was like, nah, you got to wait 24 hours. Good luck with that. So I couldn't live stream that day. And then finally got the go ahead that I could. And then when I tried to do it, I kept getting issues on this work laptop. Hey, buddy. Hi. And it kept not allowing access to the camera and the microphone through the browser, and it wouldn't even. Did you scare yourself? Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. Sorry, my dog went to go on his bed and he somehow scared himself. And yeah, it doesn't let me do it in Safari at all. YouTube was like, nope, you got to go to another browser. And then I went on to Chrome. And no matter how many times I kept changing the settings, because this is a Mac, on the actual Mac itself, it just wasn't taking it. So I think there's a bug within Chrome that even if you tell it to allow access to your camera and your microphone, it's just not saving the configuration settings. So I was like, you know what, fine, I'll try Firefox. And in Firefox, I had another Gmail account that was in there, so I had to sign out and then log in to the account that's tied to my YouTube channel. And then, of course, I couldn't remember the password for that. Anyways, I got it working, right? Because we're live streaming now and testing StreamYard. So that's my really long answer to you. You're counting stitches. Thanks. I wonder about that. Like, even when I make my videos for YouTube, like if it's like a tutorial or I'm talking about my works in progress and stuff like that, I'm like, am I entertaining? Like, is it just boring? Does anybody really want to watch me? Like, that's initially definitely what I thought when I first started doing the videos. I'm like, is anybody even going to watch this? Like, why? And then when I record it and I try to watch myself over, which is why a lot of times I don't edit my videos besides not having editing software. I do now on the phone, but then there's not enough space on the phone. So it's like this whole drama. And then there's like the security software on my phone for work and it keeps popping up and it shouldn't. And then it like cuts when I'm recording, which is why it's not a good idea to use the phone for me for live streaming. Hey, buddy. And, you know, continuing my tech issues, right? I'm like, okay, I don't have the energy to rewatch myself and then edit, and I don't like to hear how I sound, and I don't want to watch a video. I mean, sometimes I'll watch it because then that's when I realize that, oh crap, I was doing the tutorial and I just went off camera so they can't see what I'm stitching, which when other people do that, it really annoys me a lot. So, I mean, at least I apologized for it in the video, and there were good parts of the video where you could definitely see what I was doing. So I'm like, okay, they still get the gist of what I was doing and they still see it. Yeah, I agree. MDL crochet, that's what's going through my head right now, like why? But I am honestly very excited to see some of your tutorials. Um, so folks, I had put like a link to MDL Crochet's YouTube channel earlier, so please check out their channel. You should also check out Dawn the Yarn Doll's channel as well. Nifty, I have no idea if you have a channel or not. Sorry. um, thank you, Nifty. Thanks for the compliment. They just said, "Oh yes, you're a wonderful host." So, guys, so folks, right? Be like gender inclusive to everyone. Because I'm not sure what pronouns everyone's using and things like that. Does it help, like when people are on a live stream and they read what others typed in? Or is it annoying? I find it to be helpful. Like, at least you know, like, oh, okay, they read my stuff or they didn't read my stuff. I mean, I get where it's like too much if you go ahead and read everything. I think maybe like sometimes acknowledging it as part of the conversation is enough. But yeah, I'm curious. What are your thoughts? Okay, thank you. I was wondering about that. You did say husband and gay, so I was thinking MDL crochet that you might be a he. But I didn't want to assume, if that makes sense, because even if you were possibly born a he, you still might not identify as he. You may identify as she. I have some friends that are trans. So yeah. So I've been working on that, like trying to use the right pronouns and all that. Oh, nice. Okay, so Dawn mentioned that she doesn't do tutorials, that she likes live streaming. Dawn, do you identify like with she, he pronoun? I figured I should ask that, right? Not just assume, since I'm like totally talking about that. Dawn, I'm still getting used to the idea of having this like one-sided conversation with myself, like but it's not really one-sided because you guys are responding, but I can't like hear or see you. I have to read what you're typing. So it still feels like a little weird. I mean, it still feels kind of like how when I'm doing a video. The dog, of course, looks at me a little funny. But you know, that's neither here nor there. I just adopted him. Oh, I messed up something here. Hold on. Shoot. Oh no, I didn't mess up. Yay. Okay. Yeah, so I'm still getting used to that whole, sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'm still getting used to that whole idea of like, okay, am I like talking to myself? Am I not no, I'm not talking to myself. There are people there. Do they really want to watch me or see me or hear what I have to say? Like, okay. I had a friend say, he's like, no, you're very knowledgeable about crochet. You have plenty to share to people and talk about with it. And I'm like, well, doesn't everybody know this? And he was like, no, everybody does not know this. He was like, you know way too much about yarn. I was like, okay. And then Nifty was saying, for a crochet stream, I would think many of your guests are crocheting. For me, you reading the chat is wonderful. It gives us each individual attention. That is most wonderful. Thank you for your feedback. Okay, cool. So Dawn saying something also concerning the comments, that she finds that most people prefer for you to read the comments and answer out loud so we don't have to look at the chat. Yeah, I agree, especially when your hands are busy too. You're welcome. So yeah, so Dawn identifies as she, her. In case anybody. Sorry, I'm catching up. I got a little behind. MDL Crochet was saying that they like teaching. They were a teacher professor, and in the Navy was a search and rescue instructor. That is so cool. And teaching sailors and Marines are like teaching elementary students. So I thought, why not? So you already have that patience and you can break things down. I agree. Crocheters are looking for company while they're crocheting. They're looking at their hands. So you reading is great. Yeah. Plus, especially if it's like something else that's a complicated stitch thing and you're counting. oh my gosh, like I can't, like sometimes I have to not watch tutorials where they're counting and they're counting out loud because then it throws off my count. So it's like, please don't count. Unless like I'm making the same thing and then you're counting for me. But you know, and it's also interesting because sometimes crocheters are also loners, right? So it's like, okay, well, I want to decide when I want to have that social time and interact with people and crochet with them, but there's also times when I don't want to, and I just want to hide. But it feels like it's too much pressure if I have to do it in person. Or I have to leave my house and I'm in pain, or I'm not feeling well, or I'm tired, or you know, a lot of times with this fatigue, I'm crocheting and I just fall asleep where I'm crocheting. And MDL Crochet says they're and the vibe that they were missing when they were learning Tunisian, that they wanted to be like a friend is teaching you. Yeah, that's really nice, as opposed to like being talked all weird to. I've seen some where they rush to, and I didn't like that either. Don is saying there's some night owls who are just looking for someone to hang out with. I agree, and I feel like especially the nights that I have insomnia, now that they were telling me to not take the sleeping pills anymore because they think that it was making me very sleepy and drowsy during the day, and I'm like, no, maybe it's the fatigue. Now my insomnia is back, pretty bad, and I get really lonely, and I also work from home. So it's a lot of alone time. Thank you, Milan. They said too that they like reading aloud for the same reasons above. Yes, I agree. I think Michi is a great mod too. I'll probably ask her and do that. I think I'm still trying to decide whether I like live streams or not, or how many I'm going to do and all that. But I do think it's a great way probably to get hours, even though I've been doing pretty good. Like I really thought initially that I was like, am I really going to get subscribers? Who's going to want to watch? So it was really nice to, Michi's been really supportive. She's been really great. For those folks who don't know, Michi is a friend of ours. She's very sweet and she's very nice. Please check out her. You see, this is when a mod comes in handy. You know, please drop the link to her channel. So her channel is Michi's Crochet Nook. Today was her earlier during the day of Saturday was her birthday. Now it's actually Sunday here in my time zone. So yeah, she's been really supportive. It's been really nice. And then it was also really nice to hear, you know, to see that she was like watching my videos. Kind of like, I mean, I only started since November. But she was watching them since December. And also Mama G Gear, and then they'd usually watch all my videos and comment. So it's just really sweet, and they've both given shout outs to my channel. And yes, also please check out Mama G Gear's channel if you haven't, as well as Dawn's. And yeah, so in one of the videos I did, Mama G Gear saw a sweater that I had made, and I was talking about it. It was like with Sherpa yarn. It's a brown sweater, and I made it and it fit me too small. And she was, you know, she had asked me if she could buy it off of me. And then I was like, oh, I don't know how much I, you know, should sell it for. So I decided to gift it to her. And, you know, and then we were like, okay, how about we barter? So she's going to send me like a wonderful box of Yarnalicious yarn. And I sent her the sweater with, you know, some other goodies, and she loved it, and it fits her really nice. And I had made her some headbands out of like the Tunisian full stitch. So she actually, yesterday, Friday, she dropped the video where she was unboxing the box that I sent her. So that was really sweet. It was really cute. So you guys should check it out. Thank you, Dawn. Dawn mentions that she's here to help me if I need it. Sorry, I'm not going in order. Squirrel. NDL Crochet says they dislike hanging out with other people. Yeah, people bring drama, and I'm too old for that crap. So we're antisocial in real life. I agree. So my background, I'm a computer programmer. My One of my degrees is in computer science. It's the reason that I did computer science. So I do IT security now, and that is very much the reason. I have very limited interaction with humans. I mean, I have to with work, just for the nature of the work that we do. And I'm in healthcare, so it's very stressful. Um, but also like the level of people that I deal with day to day. Many of them are doctors or professionals or nurses or things like that. So I forget. And I have a friend of mine that reminds me all the time. He's like, not, people have different life experiences, and not everybody has the same level of interaction and all that. And it's sort of, and I see some of that. Like, I know Juan the Yarn Addict, his channel is also fairly new, has mentioned some negative feedback he's gotten from certain things where I would never expect that. And it's just one of those, like, it's probably a big reason that I don't interact with other humans, like where they were just mean and they were saying that they didn't want his mom to join the lives and things like that. Yeah, I addressed that. And then oh, okay, yeah. So Dawn's over on the West Coast, that time zone. Oh, Nifty, you don't know anyone who's in the fight. Well, you know us now. And to find this online world is great for fiber art lovers like me. Yeah, and for the most part, everybody's been really nice. Milan agrees with them, as well as MDL. It's like so true. It's even harder for males to admit doing it in a society. Yeah, I agree. Especially in the US, there's like a big like stigma that males shouldn't be into the fiber arts, or if they are, they're a certain way or whatever. My ex-husband could knit, so I don't see people in real life. Yeah, I barely do too. Especially now with the fatigue being bad and the pain. Whatever people I did see, I rarely see. So sometimes it'll go a week or two. Then MDL is agreeing that real life, that really life sounds better than real life. It's okay. It's late at night. You don't need to type. Yes, yes. You know what? MDL crochet. I think it's the same people. I think it's the same people that are nasty to Bago Day, that are mean. I think when she shouted Juan out, some of those people went over to his channel. And I think it's the same mean people. And they get like really into her personal life and things like that. Mm-mm. And it's like some people only like lives when there's one person on screen. Oh, like only one person talking, not a panel? Or when there's just like not a lot of other people like joining, that have joined the live to watch in the chat. Which one did you mean, Don? And then I think MDL, you meant about not seeing many people in real life. I think that's what you meant by that you're like that too. And yeah, the Sun Bunny. So MDL, I believe Chris is Mr. Yarndall, which is Don's husband. Sorry, I was about to do the wrong stitch there. And he just made a really cool Sun Bunny. It was so cute. Oh, okay. Yeah, unless it's like I'm not that tired. I find it like harder if there's like a lot of people on the panel, especially if it's like different conversations going on and they're showing different things, and sometimes folks are interrupting each other. It's just it's more to keep track of, right? Like, I mean, I get tired from just trying to like watch a chat and then watch the video. And then if it's like a lot of people on the chat, like for Bago Day's lives or for Juan's lives, you know, once you get like, I think once it's more than 100 or 200 people on the chat, it's just a lot of typing. It's just a lot of reading. Oh, okay, sorry. So then who is doop 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 doop? Now I'm like, where was that other name you typed? Chris. Does Chris have a channel? So sorry, here's a correction. My bad. Jerry is Mr. Yarndall, which is Dawn's fiance. Different person from Chris mentioned above. Yes. MDL Crochet panel lives hurt my brain worse than your PhD courses did. I agree. It's like too stressful for me. What's the point? I mean, I'm crocheting to like not be stressed out. Yay, I got the hook. So these are what the little pearl stitches look like in Tunisian. I think I had shown it before, but now that I have more rows done, I think it's easier to see. I know we had some folks join us in later. I think it was Milan and Nifty Milanese. Quick recap. This is Tunisian Crochet I'm doing. It was part of the make along, but I didn't finish it for the make along. And it was part of Tunisian Crochet along, which ended last year. Also didn't finish it for that either. So I'm just adding this, you know, to like double and triple dipping and adding it to different projects. Eventually one day I'll get it done. Not a huge rush. Yep, I agree. Crochet is not to stress. Oh, cool. So you're really new. MDL Crochet says they've only been in the community for a few weeks, but posting tutorials since December 12th, and the community is awesome. Thank you, Nifty, and saying that that this looks amazing. If you want later on, you can catch watch a replay. Just fast forward through some parts, and I actually show this better and like talk about what each stitch is. For the squares, and that I decided to not make them as individual squares because I strongly dislike weaving in ends. So I decided to do them as a strip and then join the strips as a join as you go, which is a really cool thing about Tunisian. And then I also showed the squares for this blanket I had made from a crochet along and my scarf. And I showed a bit of a other Tunisian project I'm working on for a blanket that's in strips. And I was complaining about that pattern, how it's written. It's a Mary Maxim kit. Oh, cool. So Nifty said they started as a knitter and they're on a roll with crocheting. Yay! Are you going to have a party yarn for your 1-year YouTube anniversary? So I just started doing my videos in November. I had older videos in my channel, but they were dance related and they showed my doggy. And even when I started these, I was like, I'm not going to do tutorials. And then I decided to do some tutorials. And then also decided to do some of my tutorials in Spanish. I do know there are some Tunisian crochet tutorials out there in Spanish. But I feel like it's not those many. So I think that'll be helpful for folks and to spread it more. And yeah, I've learned a lot in a short time too. at least concerning like camera angles, what software to use, what software not to use, how to do certain interactions and not. Yeah. Totally excited for your party. And then I've been working on, I also test patterns for a designer for free. And one of the sweaters is a Tunisian crochet cardigan sweater. Can't talk much more about it, but I'm not using the same yarn they are. I had made like 10 million gauge swatches, like 4 or 5. And my gauge swatches are different from what the fabric is coming up. And I had gotten this yarn at Hirschner's and then was working it up. And not only is it coming out too wide, to me, it looks like a burlap sack. So I was like, no, no. So I decided to stop that one. That was my second attempt at the sweater. Switched it again to this other different yarn. So this is how much I have now, but this is the size extra small, which is coming out bigger than a large right now. But I'm going to still continue to try and persevere. And, but again, like, the pattern calls for a 5mm hook. I used it a little bigger because when I did the gauge swatches, I needed to go all the way up to 7mm. So anyways, we'll see. It's with a boucle, very thin yarn, a new one that came out from We Crochet. And it's pricey, so I didn't want to spend $13 per hank to make a sweater that I'm testing a pattern for. So I bought the cheaper Hirschner's yarn, which I guess maybe is thicker than that, but it's still pretty thin than what I'm used to working with. So, and I've been working on it yesterday and today, and my hands were hurting, so I'm like, I need a break from that. It was frustrating me. But yeah, so I started doing the films for the channel in November. I've been crocheting for like 37 years, something like that. But not consistently, because I took many years off and on. And many years ago, I think it was probably after college, so maybe around 20 years ago, I taught myself how to knit. I remember it was a Lion brand kit, and I still have it. It's a VHS tape with a little booklet, and it came with the needles, like thicker needles, and it came with some thick, chunky, I think it was like chunky or bulky yarn for you to make a scarf with and a hat. And it was like, teach yourself how to knit kit with a VHS tape. Anyways, so I taught myself how to knit back then. Yeah, I no longer knit because the needles, it hurts my hands to hold the knitting needles. And I prefer crochet, and I do it faster. And then during the pandemic, I taught myself how to do Tunisian crochet. And I taught myself how to loom knit because the pain in my hands was really bad. And then I discovered Clover soft touch hooks that my cousin had mentioned. Plus, they also put me on a pretty strong medication, Plaquenil. So I'm on that. So that took away a lot of the pain in my hands. I mean, I still have pain in my hands, but I'm not dropping things as often. And I still have to take breaks. And a lot of times that's why I work on different projects and different type of stitches or different modalities. So that's also why I bought the circular knitting machine, so that I would crank. But then, of course, my shoulder and my arm started hurting instead. But also I learned loom knitting, and I also taught my aunt how to loom knit, and she's out in Costa Rica. So I taught her how to do that during the pandemic. Milan, the Tunisian hook sizing, it's pretty much use 2 or 3 hook sizes larger than what you would for usual crochet or what the yarn band says. Even maybe 4 sizes bigger than what some of the yarn bands say. Just so that you get less curl, and so you have more spaces in the stitches. Once you do a few more things, you'll kind of get the feel for how you want the fabric to look, that you don't want it as stiff. And, It'll still probably curl. I mean, this is reverse stitch, which barely curls. And you could do certain things like put this stitch, the reverse stitch in the bottom, or the purl stitch, or like Tunisian extended stitch. Sorry, I'm a little behind in the chat. Nifty was saying that they're a computer geek power user, but a lover of Microsoft Office Suite. So you used to be able to program in DBase 3. I'm an old IBMer, so I used to do Lotus Notes Domino web development and web development after that. And yes, 37 years I've been crocheting. Yeah, I'm a lot older than I look. I learned when I was either probably maybe 6 or 7 to crochet from my grandma's friend and my grandma, and I learned in Spanish how to crochet. I do know it was like younger, sometime younger than 8 years old. But there were many years that I didn't crochet. And then MDL Crochet is saying 32 years total crochet for him. They learned when they were 14 from their grandma, and at 46, they're still doing it, but Tunisian. That's wonderful. Thanks, everyone, for sharing. And Dawn says she's been crocheting for 30 years, and she only did single crochet until 2 years ago. That's okay. I mean, I was doing my math, and I realized that the first time I decided to do like a wearable, like a sweater or a poncho, was in 2020. So it was like so many years that, you know, it was only like hats or scarves or blankets. And that Dawn taught herself how to knit last year. And yeah, I agree. To me, crocheting is faster. And Milan is agreeing with the hook sizes, like around 2 to 4 hook sizes larger for Tunisian crochet. And Dawn is mentioning, oh, nice. That's also why you bought your knitting machine too, so you could take a break from crochet. And that you haven't used the machine as much as you want to. I find like if I use the machine too much, then, you know, other parts of my body hurt and get sore. I should probably make a video and show you guys some of the makes that I've done with the knitting machine. Because I've made sweaters, like a cardigan, a regular sweater pullover. I've made little halter tops. I've made skirts, leg warmers. I guess I have used the machine a lot more. Different kind of beanies. I've made blankets with it. I made the shrug. I love how the shrugs come out. I have a shrug close by. Let me show you. Oh. This was like squirrel. I went on a tangent. So this is a beanie done on the machine. So I find like for some of the things, like I don't sell a lot what I make. I do sometimes and like do a few commissions or I do gifts, but I like to do them on the knitting machine because they're quicker. This was Hirschner's yarn. It's really nice and soft, but now I haven't seen that they sell it anymore. And for the life of me, I can't remember the name of it right now. This was a top I did for Thanksgiving because my Thanksgiving plans fell through. Well, I had to work, but then the plans at night fell through. So I decided to make myself a top instead on the circular knitting machine. This was with Mandala Lion Brand yarn, the Centaur colorway. This was the bonus bundle. So actually the striping in the bonus bundle is different than the regular smaller mandala cakes. The bonus bundle, the striping is longer. I know this because I've done a lot of tubes. And then you can see all the striping, you know, like the frequency of when the colors change. So this was done with 2 little panels. And then this was decreased here on the sleeve. I think it's Yarn by Fabi. She does some pretty cool tutorials for different like wearables on there. She does great crochet designs too. And then I decided to add like half double crochet to the edge. It just bugged me that it was like curling down here. So I added more rows of crochet to kind of take the curl off. And then this is the shrug that I made. It's the same yarn, but it was changing colors. So now I have left over this color. So I'm thinking of making a different top like this or a skirt, but you know, with the continuation of this color with the other color. So this is the shrug. So pretty much it's a tube and you don't close the tube, and I did crochet border. And then you stop the tube, you do a panel for the width of what your back is. And then you recast on the rest of your stitches to the whole machine again, and then do your second sleeve, which is another tube. I may do a tutorial for that. I have it on my list. Oh, I'm so glad. Dawn says that she made a shrug too and she likes it. Thank you, Nifty. Yeah, no, I'm not in my 30s. I'm 45. I wish I was in my 30s. And then Dawn's mentioning that her mom finally taught her how to chain and single crochet when she was 19 years old. Her mom reptilians teach me when I was younger. Maybe didn't want to teach her. Aw, thank you, Nifty. Lassie dear, welcome. These were done on a circular knitting machine on a Centro 48. I also have a Centro 32 machine, which is my recent addition, which looks like a mushroom. And I have a Centro 22 machine, which I've had issues with, and then I'm on my second one. And I also have the Addie King machine, which is 48 6-pin needle. I bought them off of Amazon. And then Milan is saying, yeah, they'd like to see my works. That they can't see how things like cardigans can be, so they can see how things like cardigans can be made. Ah, thank you about the smart fix on the curl. Oh, yay. Happy early birthday, Dawn. Lassie Deer is asking if I like the Centro better than the Addie. Price-wise, yes. Machine-wise, no. That's a good. The quality of the machine is a lot better for the Addie. It's built better. Hey, buddy, come back. Talking to my doggy. Where you going? The Addie is less finicky about yarns. Like, you can actually use Red Heart Super Saver yarn. You still may get some drop stitches, but not as many. So it can handle a little bit thicker yarn. The machine is just sturdier, more robust. It gives me a lot less issues. But I find that if the yarn is too thin, the Addie doesn't like it. You can't control the tension as well. With my Centro 48 machine, it's very picky to the yarns. Like, it definitely loves like Mandala or Lion Brand Pound of Love, where they're thinner fours, but it hates Red Heart Super Saver yarn. Also, the Michael's Impeccable yarn gave me a really hard time too. I won't ever use that on the machine again. So with the Red Heart Super Saver, I had to pass it through dryer sheets to try to get it to help, and that I would still get a lot of like dropped and tucked stitches. And then you know, I had read somewhere, wash the yarn, so I did that, and that helped a lot, and then I could use it on the machine. And for that, you like put the yarn, you take the label off of the yarn ball, you poke some holes in it, you put it on the lingerie bag, and you pray that it doesn't tangle. So 2 of the times it tangled within the lingerie bag, and I had this huge yarn mess of a ball that everything got tangled, and I had to unwind and unravel. Oh, cool. Don, did your Don is mentioning that they have an Addie King and an Addie 22 and an electric knitting machine called the Jamit. I want to get a 22. Always welcome for gifts. No, just kidding. My dad had gifted me the Jamit, and I tried it, and it kept splitting my yarn after I would cast off. And it should be yarn that it shouldn't have an issue with. Like, I was using like Joann's Big Twist, which my Centro is fine with, or I even like put on you know, a thinner DK weight yarn, and it was still splitting. So I was like, you know what, the hell with this machine. So I just returned it. So I couldn't handle the jammet. And Milan's wishing Dawn a happy almost birthday. Oh, you're welcome. The birthday wishes. Yeah, it's nice to get to know you folks as well. Lastly, dear, what causes the drops is that the Red Heart Super Saver yarn is a lot thicker. And I also believe it's the sizing and also the humidity, right? So if you're somewhere with less humidity and you have more static, which is why the dryer sheets help a bit, the same is that if you're washing and drying the yarn, you're removing the chemicals on there, which is the sizing, which makes it stiff. Also, the machines don't care really for hairy yarn or fuzzy yarn either. I've also heard, I've never used cotton on the machine. Some people have, but I've heard that yarns that have less of a stretch are also an issue. Oh no, I got stuck. I'm going to have to spend half my day tomorrow putting away all these things. I'm like running out of sofa space. So I hope that answered your question. Oh, I'm getting tired. That's a plus. I mean, more tired. So excited. Wow, I'm getting more people. Welcome, folks. We have 9 now. I think we have some lurkers. See, I'm thinking maybe I got a bad machine. Donna's saying that they haven't had any, she hasn't had any problems with the big twist splitting on the Jammet. They did a wash test using samples on the big twist. Yeah, I saw that video. That was a really good video concerning the big twist yarn and the washing. It was just splitting everything. And I mean, it was just like the second or third row after I cast on. So, and I mean splitting it like weird, like where it was, you know, after it passes and it's going through some of the needles, it would literally, I think it had its own tension too tight. I even tried just cranking it and turning off the motor, and it was still doing it. I don't know what was wrong with that machine. It was really weird. Yeah, I was told cotton was a bad idea on those machines. I haven't used cotton on there, but I don't know. I'm part of the Koala Knits and Knacks group, and she has a lot of videos that she does on there, and she has her own Facebook group, and she makes a lot of cute stuff, and I think she's made stuff with cotton, and also that Yarn by Fabi, she's made stuff with cotton on there too. But I'm like, you know what? That's fine. You can do that. I'm not about to risk breaking my machine. And sometimes these people, you'll see, they'll do videos and they're putting these, like, I don't know. I just saw somebody post something that they made and they used Scarfy. And then somebody else using, like, chenille yarn, but like the thick chenille. Or I have done velvet, and I made a beanie with it, but it was like, I think it was like Bernat velvet, so it was like a category weight 4 yarn, and I went really slow on the machine, and that kind of came out okay. And that was the Addy, not on the Centro. I wouldn't risk it on the Centro. Oh, nice. Yeah, Dawn mentioned that she's also part of that Facebook group, that community. Yeah, I saw some posts on there today where people were complaining about their posts being deleted on the Facebook group. But honestly, I mean, a lot of times people just don't read, and they don't read rules. So I was like, I'm not getting involved in this drama. Not my problem. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Hi, Catherine. Welcome. First time here. Oh, wow. How cool. You're in Australia. That is wonderful. How exciting. Ooh. Is it like 7 o'clock at night over there for you guys? Like nighttime now for Sunday? I'm curious. It's like a lot of math, and I don't feel like doing it 3 in the morning. So forgive my ignorance. like a lot of time zone math calculation. I could do East Coast to West Coast right now. Not a problem in my brain, but not and Europe, but not that. Ooh, maybe I should message my friend over in Germany so she could see me. Be like, hey, I'm live. Are you awake? Nah, she's still sleeping. It's 9 a.m. It's 9 a.m. on Sunday. She's not working. My friend over in Germany, we used to work together, 2 different jobs, and she just came to visit in September, so we still chat through WhatsApp. Yay, cool! I calculated it right. I'm so excited for myself. It's 7:15 p.m. Sunday in Australia. I was like gonna say, was it New Zealand? No, Australia. So Donna's mentioning she did use Premiere, just chenille on the Addy, and it worked good, but the stitches weren't tight enough and it wormed. Oh no, that sucks. I've never used Premiere chenille yarn. I haven't used that yet, but yeah, that is a common problem with chenille, the whole worming. So MDL Crochet is asking if Catherine Langford, as in Stargate Catherine. Oh yeah, MDL, I love Big Twist. I have a bunch of Big Twist yarn too. I have like a full, like at least 3 or 4 totes of it. Oh, I'm sorry. And a big garbage bag because, you know, Joanne, sometimes when you do that curbside pickup, they just get annoyed with you and they don't want to bag it. And they're like, I'm just going to give you this in a garbage bag out of spite. I feel like that's why they do it. And then they'll give you like their ugly balls too. But anyways, I feel like my Joanne's doesn't, I don't know. I had posted on my community tab. I went to go visit them. I think it was like January because I hadn't been in the store in a really long time and that place looked like a disaster. It was so sad. Okay, Catherine says no. Not as in Stargate Catherine. Yeah, so like my local Joann's, there's like a bunch of just the shelves, like not a lot of yarn there. And then there was some yarn like in boxes they hadn't unboxed. And then when you look on the app or the website to see if they had that yarn in stock at the local store, they say they don't, even though I saw it in person. The store was dirty. The floor was dirty. They had garbage bags and they were like hanging off like the yarn aisle section, you know, like how sometimes the middle of the yarn aisles have these big metal containers where they throw in all the blanket yarn and the big extra plus blanket yarn. They had a garbage bag with garbage hanging like tied to that side of that metal container. I'm like, no, that is not okay. I counted at least 2 or 3 garbage bags, like just with garbage, like out in the middle of the aisles. Then in another aisle, I found a broom. I was like, okay, were they trying to clean and they just gave up? And they're like, that's it. I'm just leaving this here. I'm walking out. There was like water damage on the ceiling and water damage on the floor. The floor was like dirty and sticky. There were lights as soon as you like came into the store that weren't even working. So the store was dark in some parts inside. I was like, no. I was like, this isn't even good for my health. So, like, I don't need to be exposed to a building that has water damage that can potentially have toxic mold and you're not even cleaning it. It's just gonna make me really sick. So I walked back out and I'm like, I don't even want yarn from here. I don't know if the yarn's been contaminated with mold and mold spores. So MDL Crochet is saying, I mean, and my store was nice too. Like this just happened within like the last 4 or 5 months. They said their Joanne's is awesome. The yarn lady there, who is also their yarn lady, her name is Joanne. She hid all the Christmas yarn for me. Oh, that is really nice. Yeah, I mean, and I don't believe that it was a ghetto area, so maybe the area is becoming ghetto. But yeah, that's really sweet of them to do that for you. Milan says their local Joann's is pretty grim too. Most of the lights were off. Yeah, that's pretty shady. Like, it's like dangerous. It's like a security risk. It said a lot of the times when like gas stations or places that get robbed, a lot of times the robberies are at night or like night in the parking lots because it's harder to see, like especially if it's not a well lit place. That's why a lot of the Walmarts had put a lot of like more lighting in the parking lot some years back. I had heard it's all like the physical security. So some of the times, for me to do the certification I have for work, I also had to know some of the physical security stuff besides IT security stuff. Ew, Don says there, Joanne's there has always been dingy and dirty. That's sad. I agree with you, MDL. Oh yeah, Don, that's far. 20 miles away for the closest yarn. Sorry. Nifty was saying, and then I jumped to MDLs. Nifty was saying they don't know the history of secondhand yarn, so not sure that they want to buy from secondhand yarn stores. I don't buy secondhand yarn. Yeah, I agree with you, MDL. You just don't know what bugs are coming along. Yeah, I never even got along to the bug part. I was just thinking of like the mold or the mold spores. I can't have anything that was like that. I had to get rid of a bunch of furniture and things when I was renting a house that actually had toxic mold and it was in the walls and it made me really sick. So I'm really careful about where my yarn comes from. And I like to see it. So, and I know some people are like, oh yeah, go to the secondhand stores or Goodwill and all this. And I'm like, no, I don't know what happened to it or what they were taking care of and what might be coming along with it. So I'm even iffy about it if it's like something off of eBay or Etsy. I only go on there if it's really desperate, like it's a yarn that's discontinued and I'm finishing the project and I just ran out of yarn and I need like one more ball, but I usually try to buy enough yarn ahead of time that doesn't happen for me for projects, but yarn chicken happens. Yeah, I agree. Smell like smoke or mothballs or bed bugs. Yeah, no. I agree. I don't want that either. Yeah, or mold. I mean, I know my main concern was the mold, but you're right. It could have any or all of those things above. Or it could have fleas too. Fleas or ticks. Some people are gross, man. Like if they had a flea infestation and they had yarn and it got in their yarn and it laid eggs. Ew. Anyways, happier subjects. Oh no! What were you playing yarn chicken with, Milan? Sorry, Nifty. Nifty Milanese. Malinese. Malinese? I'm probably mispronouncing that. I'm sorry if I am. Yeah, yarn chicken does suck. So were you able to finish your project and get more of the yarn? Nifty. This is fun. I gotta make sure I don't run because this is where I go attaching. Like for this whole square, and I feel like I didn't make. I don't know what happened here. I feel like this square here is not the same length as this square here. I haven't actually measured it with a measuring tape. And at this point, onto my third strip, it really doesn't matter. But I feel like I've been doing all these rows and I'm doing all these rows for days. And I'm like, am I going to run out of, because by the time I get up here, then I do, let me show this better. See, I'm down here, right? But by the time I get up here, I have to switch over, do my row of Tunisian double crochet, and then change stitches. So I'll probably go back to that diagonal stitch. But I feel like I've been doing this here for such a long time, like row and row and row. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like never ending. Yarn chicken does suck. Nifty said they're making a 3D flower granny square pillow cover for their sister. It's 20 by 20 inches. The back is a corner to corner stitch. They thought they had enough yarn and went for it, but it was a fail. Oh, I'm sorry. It sounds lovely though, the project. I hope you can get more yarn or figure out a nice solution to it. Like add a strip or something. At least it's in the back. Yeah, it does sound very pretty. I agree with everyone. I like 3D flowers. Right now I need to organize my living room, fold my clean laundry and put it away, put away what I already have folded, and then put away some of the overflow yarn that I have on that daybed. And on the sofa that I'm at, on the other corner, I keep a lot of my current works and projects and totes. So. And Nifty says, yes, they already found a solution. I just said it. I put a strip in and it's beautiful and it's working out so lovely. Oh, that's great. It'll look like it was even intentional. Well, I'm glad you were able to fix that. It's so frustrating. I find it to be so stressful to get into that phase of the project and play yarn chicken. Oh my gosh, I had that happen with the last cardigan pattern I was testing. And I thought I would run out. But that thing was eating yarn like there was no tomorrow. And I even made it shorter than the pattern called for. I think the designer is tall or way taller than I am. I'm short, so I'm 5'2". And when I read the thing, I'm like, it was like chunky yarn and it was more than 100 something stitches for the starting chain. I was like, this thing is going to reach the floor. And it's going to be longer than me. Plus, with the weight, it's going to stretch too. So I asked her. I shortened it. I was aiming for my knees, and it actually came out a little bit past my knees, and it's like a few inches past my knees, into my calves. But it looks nice. And I'm glad I did shorten it. I only ended up with 2.5 skeins left over. And I had already used maybe 13 or 14. I think total I had 13 or 14 skeins of the Premier anti-pilling chunky bamboo yarn. It's lovely. That was my first time using it and I really loved it. It's in the color Blue Lobster. I showcased it on the video I did this last Friday, if anybody's interested in seeing it. And she finally released the pattern this Friday, so I could talk about it and showcase it. And yeah, if I wouldn't have shortened it, I would have ran out of yarn. Because making it all the way down to the bottom to my ankles, I wouldn't have had enough yarn, even though I'm short. Yeah, it's kind of it's a bulky long house coat because it has an edge, so it's not. It's a little more formal than a house coat, but yeah. MDL is saying, yeah, they hate when they run out of a certain color, that the dye lots can be so drastically different. How can you screw up white? Yeah, I agree. And then Milan says they had that happen to them recently on a Red Heart Super Saver no dye lot. It was quite a different color. Me too, except I emailed Your Inspirations about it, and their reply is that they are not no dye lots. So Red Heart Super Saver does have dye lots, and their reply back to me was, you should buy enough when you're making the project to make sure that you have enough dye lot. That was their reply. It was the Fruity Stripes. I'm working on the Crochet Crowds, the Study of Determination blanket. It's really pretty. I'm like on week 3 or week 4. I was afraid that I'd run out of yarn. So I was like, hey, sure, why don't I order some more of this Red Heart Saver Fruity Stripe? It's the one with the really bright yellow and orange and red. From Joann's. Of course, my Joann's locally is a wreck, right? So they're claiming they don't have any, and they haven't had any in stock for months. I'm like, how can you not have this basic Super Saver stripes color that's quite common? Anyways, so I ordered it online. 5 skeins. It arrives. It looks washed out. It looks like somebody put it in the sun and it got bleached. And it looks very pale in comparison. I'm like, I cannot put that next to my blanket that looks so pretty and beautiful and vivid. So I emailed them and they replied back to me. I haven't had the energy or desire to go to Joann's to try to return it yet. I mean, I think it arrived like in November. No, September, sometime late last year. And I'm like, well, this is really frustrating. So I don't know if I'll need it or not. So then I decided in the last order of Joann's that I did, I was like, you know what? Let me just order 2 skeins of this and see how it comes. Because I swear I think they're getting rid of their warehouses and they're just like filling, using inventory from stores and sending it to you. So I think it's like luck of the draw if you're going to get like decent yarn or not, right? So 2 skeins arrive, and guess what? It matches the color of what I'm making in the blanket, nice and bright and everything. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do with these 5 skeins. So I don't know if I'm just going to, one of these days, go to a further Joann's. It's like an hour away, hour drive, and go in the store, see if they have the yarn, and then see if I can exchange it and be like, hey, you know, or just go in, you know, and when I go in, buy like 3 or 5 skeins of it, which, you know, I don't know if I'll be able to get it on sales price or not, and then just do a return and return the faded yarn, which is theirs anyways. I mean, they sent it to me, so this whole thing is really frustrating. Because even if I add it to the blanket, I mean, it's going to look really, it's going to look bad. Yeah, so Milan, they apparently they have dye lots now, they claim. Yeah, that's pretty much what they said, MDL, was buy more yarn. And then they're like, or we suggest that you just like put some other yarn in between so that it's not noticeable that you have a different dye lot with color variation. Just work it into your project. And I'm like, no. No, this is a big mandala thing. It's not like I added other extra colors. It's all supposed to be the same color. And the thing is, it's the fruity, I think it's called Fruity Stripe, that color. They don't sell it in a jumbo. If not, I would have bought the jumbo color of it. They sell it in their regular stripes yarn. That self-striping one, the skeins are super small. It's like only like 248 yards per skein. So, you know, I thought it was a good idea. Like, hey, I'll use this. I'll use up this, you know, I'll work down some of my stash. But then I ran into that problem. So, I mean, I guess I can always try to see if there's like a Red Heart Super Saver color that matches, that's like a red, and add that for a few rows, but I really don't want to. I wanted the whole thing to be that color, you know, those colors. Milan says, to be honest, they were finishing up a project that they started years ago. Well, to be honest, I started this one last year, but the yarn was from, 1 or 2 years ago. But I did hear, I had seen that Bag O' Day had done a video about their ombre yarn, that their ombre yarn was faded, and that they were trying to look for the older skeins that were more brighter and vivid. And then she just now recently did a video, like I think last week, maybe the week before, where it seems like they did fix the problem concerning the faded look, because they had, I think, changed manufacturing plans from like India to Turkey. And somehow on some of those yarn labels put a US flag on there, but that the Red Heart Super Saver Ombre was never made in the US. At least, currently, right? The last 10 years. I don't know if it was ever made in the US in the past. I have no idea. But we're talking about this recent thing. So then she was saying to, if you end up, like to be careful when you're shopping for it, because you can end up with the faded one, but that now the newer ones aren't faded anymore. So it's kind of like the faded one happened like from last year or the year before. So there's like this gap of faded Red Heart Super Saver Ombre yarns. But now that she saw that some people have been like selling them online and Etsy and eBay and claiming that it's like a limited run for the faded ones. I mean, people will do anything to make a buck. And selling it for more money. I was like, really? Like, I don't want the faded one. If I wanted faded, then I would use pastel yarn. So I like their yarns when their yarns are nice and bright and vivid. Like this one, like look at what a pretty blue. But this is ice yarn, so. Oh, okay, Dawn. Do you know what years? Dawn is saying that, yeah, Red Heart Super Saver Ombre was made in the US years ago, that they have some. Yeah, so, I swear I feel like maybe 10 or 15 or 20 years ago, it might have been. But this was my first time using Red Heart with the Ombre just recently, like this in February. I had heard from a friend that it was really rough and scratchy, so I hadn't used it. And then I found that this one was not so bad. I actually want to wash the blanket and see how it comes out, to see if it's really rough or not. Like if it softens up like their regular Red Heart Super Saver. Oh, that's so frustrating, Milan, that they got an order recently, not from Joann's, that 5 balls and 3 were different dye lots. And then Nifty's saying that all the 3D flowers on their pillow cover, they learned from Bag O' Day. Yeah, she is a beautiful teacher. She explains the tutorials so well. Oh, I'm so sorry, Don. They mentioned she's allergic to the Red Heart Ombre made in Turkey, that she had to abandon the project more than 5 years ago. Do you think it's the chemical they have on there? Or maybe the yarn itself? Yeah, I know. I have the subscription box for Darn Good Yarns. They're like sport weight twisted silk or whatever. They put some chemical on there when they're processing the silk yarn. And I think I'm sort of allergic to it. It has a really strong smell and it off gases, and I can't handle the smell. I have to like put it outside for a few days. So the smell will be gone, because if I'm around the smell, it gives me a headache. So I literally have the yarn like in a bag in the closet so that I don't smell it. And I have the same, I have a hard time with Michael's Impeccable yarn. It has a really, really strong chemical smell. Because a friend of mine, she had commissioned me to make her something and to use that yarn. And yeah, it was giving me headaches. I wasn't able to handle it. MDL Crochet is saying to Nifty that his husband says she's a great teacher. He just hasn't done regular crochet in 10 years. Yeah, she goes nice and slow. She explained things well, and she's also very encouraging, which is really nice. Oh no! Lon says they're not sure what they're reacting to, that their eyes swell when they use it. I'd be curious. I mean, not that you want to have to wash all the yarn before you use it. It's a pain in the butt. Been there, done that, would not recommend it. Especially if it ends up getting all tangled. But I'd be curious if you are really bored one day and decide to wash Red Heart Super Saver, or have somebody else wash Red Heart Super Saver ombre for you, and then see if you react to it, because then you'd know that it might be the sizing chemical. Do you react to the regular Red Heart Super Saver or just the ombre? I know MDL is saying they wonder if they soak it in formaldehyde. It sounds like some symptoms from exposure. Good night, Catherine. Have a good night. I'm probably signing off soon. It's 4 a.m. here, and I'm sure very late for everyone else here that's in the U.S. for us, for our bedtimes. Thank you for joining. If you like my content, please click like and subscribe. Now I sound like everybody else. But I figure I'd put the pitch in there. Oh yeah, guys, hit click on the like if you please, for this live. Thank you. I forgot to say that. Have a nice evening, Catherine. Thanks for joining. I should like my own video too. I think people are like, don't forget the thummies. Oh no, they have all sorts of cute things they say. I was totally going to play video games tonight, but I guess that's not happening. Donna's saying before that she only used the Red Heart baby fingering yarn, and you didn't have any issues. I don't know that they put that same sizing chemical. I've never used their fingering yarn. I don't like fingering yarn. But like, for example, their like Red Heart Comfort, their Red Heart Soft, those don't feel the same. I don't think they have that same sizing chemical on there. I think they said like that it's like some chemical called sizing, and then it keeps it stiffer, and then it's like less disorganized when they put it on the shelves. And then Nifty was saying Crystal from Bag O' Day should become a professional teacher. She's really amazing at it. Yeah, she's already a professional teacher on YouTube. Yeah, she probably wouldn't be able to teach with people with I know she's talked about this on her channel, but seems like she has issues with being and like not wanting to leave, like issues being around large crowds of people or going too far from her house. So I'm sure having to interact with people in a classroom setting would be really challenging for her and really anxiety producing. Thank you, Nifty, for subscribing. No, MDL says they think she should go and get that master crocheter certificate. I've never heard of that certificate. Thanks, Don. You're really good about that. About liking when you first got here. What does a like do for your channel? I feel like Dawn can answer that better, but a like, what would a like do? A like is going to generate more traffic to the channel because it'll tell YouTube that people are actually, this is my guess, right? This is my opinion, that people are actually watching and liking your content. So therefore they're going to suggest it to more people because they go ahead and they suggest videos to people. So I'm thinking that that's what they do. But there's also this section within YouTube Studio, and they give you analytics and breakdowns of how your videos are doing, of how many people have liked them, of how many people have watched them, um, where they watch them from, if they're subscribers. Yes, thank you, Nifty, for subscribing. Okay, so a like lets YouTube know how enjoyable the channel is, and they will share you out more. So yeah, that's yay. That's what I thought. So it brings more traffic to you. You're welcome. So I think I should call it a night soon. My goodness, I was supposed to walk the dog earlier. So mental note to self, if I ever start one of these late night lives where my 20 minutes turned into 2 hours and 20 minutes later, I should walk the dog first. So I'm glad I walked him at 9 o'clock at night, 9-ish, or 10. But I don't even want to walk him this late. I think I'm just gonna let him out to the dog yard and hope he comes back inside with me. He has this thing when I let him out to the dog yard that he wants to play, and he's nocturnal. So then he thinks it's like, hey, let's run around at almost 4 in the morning. I keep having to remind myself I'm doing the pearl stitch and not the simple stitch. Aw, thank you. MDL, time flies by with enjoyable people. That's so sweet. This has been a very pleasant experience. Thank you, everyone, for joining and spending some time with me. Dawn, I hope you feel better. MDL, I hope you feel better too and you're not dealing with a lot of pain tonight or the next few days. It's been hard for me to sleep with all the pain. So yeah, but I did do my physical therapy exercises tonight. So I was going to try to do a regular exercise class that's online for a little bit, but I didn't, and I was really tired. So you're welcome, Dawn. Aw, thank you. Yeah, it was fun. Yay. And again, like I said, I think it was to Nifty or anyone else that joined a bit later. Or my lurkers. Because I know you're there. Click like. No, no peer pressure. If you want, to look through some of what I showcase for these squares from the blanket, because they're really cool. You should rewind and look at that. Like this one. This one's a wave. I just really don't want to refold this. I'm being really lazy. And that's like a bauble. That's like a snowflake. I love this. Oh, hi, Adele. Bye, Adele. I guess you were lurking. Have a good night. I know we're going to have like a bunch of lives tomorrow, too. Between Juan's mama's birthday on Juan the Yarn Addicts channel and Michi's part 2 celebration. Fine. I'll show the scarf. This is the Tunisian half double crochet stitch, just because that was there. Yes, this is all Tunisian, Milan. Well, these, not the circular knitting machine stuff that I showed. This square I love. This is Tunisian simple stitch that I did for this sampler blanket. It was hosted by TLY Crafts. No, she did not have this on there. I found this and I decided to do this for my own square. So that's actually cross-stitched in there, which is a little paw and a heart. Aw, thank you, Adele. That's so sweet of you. This one is Tunisian full stitch done in 3 colors. I love how this blanket come out. That's my border. Isn't that a pretty border? This is all done in Lion Brand Pound of Love. I think I used a 7mm hook, but I would have to look at my notes. That's like some sort of lace mesh stitch or arrowhead stitch. I think it goes that way. These were all blocked too, by the way, in case you were wondering. I think this is the honeycomb stitch. Sorry, it's just I can't tell backwards. Or some sort of lace stitch. I can't remember right now. This is the Tunisian simple stitch done with 2 colors. This might be honeycomb. This is honeycomb stitch. Sorry, I didn't show it before. This is my snowflake done with baubles in Tunisian crochet. Isn't that cute? This is the wave stitch. Pain in the butt to learn, but once you get it down, it's beautiful. I've done leg warmers that I designed my own pattern with this stitch. The brick stitch. Sorry. I just keep going left when I need to go right. It's a brain thing. This is my joy square. They were doing home, but I didn't like that for the word that I wanted on my blanket, so I did joy instead. Oh, this one's wonderful. This is the miter stitch. Sorry, I feel like I'm falling apart. Well, you could look at the lace one here because it's going the wrong direction. Arrowhead, probably. Yes, thank you. I think that's like a lace stitch, but I put it upside down when I joined it. Not like anybody cares. These are like diagonal lattice stitches. I like that a lot, so I put 2 of them. That's something else there that I can't remember. Yay, Adele's a night owl. Witchy watcher. Smock stitch. Thank you, MDL. Thank you, Adele. It probably is a good nap. I keep it folded, though, on top of my day bed, and I never use it. Thank you, Nifty. Eyelet lace. Thank you. Yes, that's what it is. This is, that one, other one was the brick stitch. This is, I think, the block stitch. I'll show you my backs, too. This is the knit stitch. I really like that that mitered one. Trying to see which ones I didn't show you guys. Oh, the pinwheel. And there's more. There's this one. What is that one? This might be arrowhead stitch or some sort of mesh stitch. Yeah, that miter one took a while to learn. That's my pinwheel. Isn't that pretty? That's so pretty. I love it. That would make a beautiful purse. And in case you guys are curious, my backs are pretty too. I mean, okay, fine. So there's a little knot sticking out there, but you don't have to look at that one. But overall, I mean, and I haven't figured out how to do the cross stitching and not show it on the back side. I think Creative Grandma has a video about that, but like that's the back of my wave stitch. That's the back of my mitered stitch. So it's pretty clean backs, I think. Now I gotta fold this all again. Okay, there you go. Thank you. Yeah, I love that pinwheel. Thank you for the compliment. It's a very clean. Dawn was saying that Jerry told her the other day that if she's going to stay up all night, she wants her to go live. Yeah, I agree, right? So I was like, I'm not sleepy. It's a Saturday night. I don't have work tomorrow morning. I may as well go live. Maybe when I get the hang of this, we can. You're welcome, Dawn. Aw, that's sweet. Look at that. Thank you. I think this is like one of the first few things that I blocked too. Like I had just starting to learn to block because I've been crocheting for more than 20 something years. And I had never blocked anything. My grandma didn't block stuff. I don't even think my cousin blocked stuff, which is like my dad's cousin. She's like my dad's generation. She learned how to crochet later in life, but she does she first like would do knitting. My dad's from Cuba, so half of my family's from Cuba. But she came over later in life. But she said things were so rough back when she lived in Cuba that this is during Castro's time. That she had to learn how to knit just to try to like repair clothes and to make themselves socks because they didn't even have socks to wear. So, yeah. Thank you, Don, saying they're perfect squares. And then Nifty's asking Don to go after this live so that they can meet. Milan says they love that. Thank you so much. And Adele says, thanks for sharing. You're welcome. Sorry, catching up with the chat. MDL says the husband says they should, but you're nervous to go live and also scared. You'll be fine. I know it's kind of, I get nervous too. I get nervous when I do the films. It helps if it's like someone you know is on here or, you know, new friends. I mean, worst case, you can always stop the live. And Don says, Nifty, yeah, Don has been feeling a bit under the weather. And they were already live for 4 hours today. MDL Crochet, I wish you would. Don't forget to put a hashtag for crochet so I don't miss it. MDL does Tunisian. Oh, Nifty, if you scroll way up in the chat, I actually put a link to MDL Crochet's channel. They're just started doing video tutorials, since December. So if you like, you can check out their channel, but the URL is there. And I agree, Dawn. It's just like hanging out with your friends. And I think too, MDL, once you do it like 1 or 2 times, then it'll be better. You know, it won't be as nerve-wracking. Plus, it also helps that you don't see the other people. I know that feels weird about that, but it's also somewhat comforting. And you have the control over whether you can stop it or not. And like doing the crochet at the same time or knitting is kind of like also like a nice buffer. Because you could be like, oh, well, I was knitting, so I didn't read that. Or or I don't feel like looking at the screen because I was knitting, you know? So it's a good scapegoat too. I mean, it's true, but it's also a good scapegoat. Yeah, and Dawn said there she goes live on Mondays and Wednesdays, just not in the middle of the night. She also has a site where she has a calendar and she lists where other people go live as well, including herself. And I believe Mondays is Hobby Bingo on her channel. I'm usually working and we have a department meeting Monday mornings, so I can't do that one. So yeah, and I think they have like a Wednesday night too. I joined briefly last Wednesday. Yep, it is hard to say bye on a live stream. I was like, I need to go to bed. Okay, it's 4:01. I need to take care of the doggy and go to bed. Working on Mrs. C Elephant. What type of elephant are you doing, Adele? Is it like a Lovey Knots elephant or is it an amigurumi elephant? I'm assuming it's a crochet elephant. I guess it could be knit too. Oh, cool, Nifty. Thank you. Found you at MDO Crochet and at Dawn Yarndoll. Thanks. So I know I mentioned this briefly before, but I had heard it and I'm glad someone explained it to me. So I know one common saying that you'll see sometimes in live streams is that they'll say, "Hey, I threw yarn at your window." And sometimes folks say that when to mean like, "Hey, I just subscribed to your channel." So that's the equivalent saying that. So if you folks are in different other live streams and you see that phrase come up, now you know what that means, because I didn't know initially, so I had to ask. And I'm glad somebody explained it to me. Yeah. Thank you, Nifty, for checking both of those out and subscribing. Don is also thanking you and hugs. And Don the Yarn Doll, yes. There is Hobby Bingo and West Coast Wednesdays. Oh, nice. Cool. Okay. So yeah, yes, we throw yarn at or leave yarn at your door. It was close enough. Okay, cool. Yeah. Adele was agreeing. That's what it means, throwing yarn into your window or doorstep. It sounds way better, into, as opposed to at. Hey, I'm throwing yarn at your window, duck. Oh, man. Oh, and because I keep saying this all week this week, I figure I might as well pitch it in here too. On my community tab on my page, I have information there concerning a really good deal that's through Humble Bundle. It's a bundle of ebooks, crochet and amigurumi books. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, and Adele answered saying that it's a crochet elephant, amigurumi. That's where I was going with that. Anyways, it's a collection of 23 ebooks, crochet and amigurumi for $18. It's a limited time deal. It's a legitimate site. It's not like some shady place. I've bought plenty of ebook collections from them before, mostly technical books. Sometimes they have craft books or sewing books too, or other different topics. They also have video game bundles there. And they have two other tiers, which are less pricey, so you can select, like, I mean, you can pick if you want to pay more, but why would you want to pay more? They also have, you can choose to do the $10 bundle for that bundle of books, and it's 8 books, or you can choose to do the $1 bundle, which is 2 books, and they show you which books. And then if you choose on the it's a button they have there on the side, adjust your amount. You can adjust the amount of how much you're paying to whether you want some of it, like what the distribution is, whether you want some of it to go to a charity that they mention or not. And you can also, when you're doing checkout, choose if you want to gift this to somebody and send it to them. And then you just click those check boxes. I believe there's like maybe 6 days left in the sale. Some really good books though. They have the every way crochet 200 stitch dictionary, which is just worth that cost. Just getting that book is worth the whole cost of the bundle. And they have 2 of the Edwards Menagerie amigurumi books, the regular one and the one for the birds. So yeah, so I figured, oh, I'm glad you got that, Milan. Yeah, it's a really great deal. And you can also, like, I don't know if you have a Kindle or you use the Kindle or not. I use the Kindle app. I actually have a regular Android tablet. I used to have an iPad, but Apple decided to no longer update the software to force you to not use them anymore. So therefore, you're now a security risk. So through Amazon, through your Kindle account, you can actually import the ebooks, like the EPUB version of that, or just, port it over to a tablet or a PC if you want to be able to read that more easily. And then Nifty saying that to Adele, that they wish that would happen in real life, getting a ball and a yarn thrown in my window. Love it. Unless they break the window. And then Adele's agreeing with Nifty. And then Adele is saying, I will definitely show you yarn to Dawn. I only posted the bunny on Pixie Stitch Facebook page, or Michi. MDL says they got to go take their service dog Shadow out as he's off duty. So we'll see you all tomorrow, today, this morning. Good. Sure. Thanks. Good night. I got to go take my doggy out too and go to bed. So I think that's a good transition to go. And also, I did a video on Friday doing a review on that bundle. So if you guys are curious about what the books are, unfortunately, I didn't put the tablet close enough to the camera. So certain things are not great to see, and I didn't realize it until I uploaded the video. But, I mean, there is such things as copyright infringement. So I'm like, you know what? That's not such a bad thing that you can't see the screen that well for the tablet. And then after I did the video, and it was 50 minutes long, I realized, and I also showed some of the things that I had just completed and worked on, I realized that I was exhausted after, and that doing a video that long was really tiring. So, yeah, take care, everyone. Thank you. Good night. Thanks for stopping by. And, you know, and even if you don't get the bundle and you're curious about those books, I literally went over the highlights of most of those books from that bundle. Again, not the brightest idea that I had, because going through, I mean, I reviewed at least more than 10 books in that video, but trying to review and go through 23 books was a lot of work, because I looked at them the night before. So, okay, good night, bye. I'm ending it now. How do I stop this? There we go, it's on the bottom. Bye. Good night, Adele. Good night, Milan. Good night, Dawn. Good night, MDL Crochet. Good night, anyone else that I missed. Good night, Nifty. Bye. I think that's everyone that's still left. And lurkers. Bye.